So graphing quadratic functions using tables, just like when we did absolute value, there is going to be a transformation like using the a, h, and k like we did on absolute value. There's going to be the same thing, but I need you to understand why quadratics make the shape that they make. So we are going to graph it using tables, doing the math ourselves, and then we will get into graphing it by using the a, h, and k. So the parent function of quadratic, remember parent function just means the simplest form. So it would be y equals x squared. So if you have y equals x squared, that's the simplest form. There's nothing else happening to x. So we're going to do that one first just so that we can see the parent function. Just like we did on absolute value, you're going to have a table. X, use the process. And then you're going to get y values. On this one, just because it's a squared, if we end up using 4, it's going to make your table or your graph huge. So we're just going to use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Remember when you're graphing something and it doesn't give you specific values, you can pick any values you want. But whenever you do that, you want to always pick a few negatives, always want to do 0, and then a few positives. And then hopefully you get enough information. So if we do -2 as our first x value, I'm going to need to put -2 in for x. So it would be -2 squared. So -2 times -2, -2 times -2. A negative times a negative would be positive. 2 times 2 is 4. Oops, I did not know why I put that over there in the middle of where my graph's going to be in just a second. I'm going to white it out so it starts drying. Okay, then the next one would be -1 squared. So a negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, 0 squared. 0 squared, 0 times 0 is 0. I do want to, I forgot I was going to type this in the calculator because I want to show you something. So let me clear my memory because I have a bunch of stuff in. So when you do this, you have to put parentheses around the negative, because if you don't, and I'll show you what buttons I click to type all that in, if I don't, it's going to give me a negative. So what the calculator does, it knows the order of operations. What it does is it squares, if you don't put the parentheses, it squares the number first and then takes the negative. But remember, a negative times a negative would have to give you a positive answer. So what I clicked is I hit parentheses, which is directly above the 8 and the 9. So I did open parentheses. The negative is down here next to the period or the decimal. So -2. Make sure you close parentheses. And then squared is right here diagonal to the 7. And it gives me 4. Okay? 1 squared, 1 times 1 is 1. And then 2 squared, 2 times 2 is 4. So let's go ahead and graph that. Okay, so we have -2. Is that 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. -1 and 1. 0, 0. 1, 1. And 2, 4. Now, every year I always have somebody ask say that almost looks like a V. Yeah, if you drew a straight line through that, just using these 5 points, it would almost look like a V. But if I went to the next one, remember 3 squared would be 9, so it would be way up here. It wouldn't make a V anymore. It would make more of a U. So remember, this U, or the shape of a quadratic, is called parabola. I always have people pronounce it funny. It's called a parabola. Parabola. Okay, a few things about a parabola. Remember, this is called the vertex. That point right there. My arrow's not very good. And then if we think about this, so the vertex is at 0, 0. If we think about this, is that a minimum or a maximum? Is it the lowest value on the y-axis or in the y values, or is it the highest value? Well, it's the lowest, so it's a minimum. Or it's the lowest point along the whole graph. Okay, so that's the first example I wanted to do. Now let's do the next one. So if we do x squared plus 4. X process. Oops, I don't know if I spelled process wrong the first time or this time, but they're both different. Sorry. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Okay, this one gets a little bit more complicated because it has that plus 4. So we're going to do parentheses, -2. And I'm going to go ahead and, just so that you see what steps I'm doing, I'm going to use a different color on this one. So this parentheses, -2 squared plus 4. Well, -2 squared, remember order of operations, you have to do the squared part first and then add 4. So if you look up here, we already know what -2 squared is. It's 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. You can type this in your calculator, just you have to remember to do parentheses. So I'm going to do parentheses. Remember that's right above the 8. -2, close parentheses, right above the 9, squared, and then plus 4. It will give you your answer. Okay, then we're going to do -1 squared plus 4. -1 times -1. 1 time, or negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. Zero squared. Oops. 0 times 0 is 0, plus 4 is 4. I keep picking up the wrong color, sorry. 1 squared plus 4. 1 times 1 is 1, plus 4 is 5. Anyone want to guess what the next one is? 2 squared plus 4. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 4 is 8. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and graph it. This goes all the way up to 8, so I'm going to put my axis a little bit lower, and I don't have any negative numbers. So -2, 8, so count back 1, 2, then count up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 5, and 2, 8. So there is my parabola. Notice this is your vertex. Again, it moved up. It's now still a minimum, sorry, it just moved up from the origin. Okay, next one. X plus 4 squared. Notice the difference on this one is the 4 is inside of the parentheses, so that's going to make our math different. X process y. Okay, again, we're going to use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So we're going to do -2 plus 4 squared. So notice, since this is inside of the parentheses, I have to do that first. So negative 2 plus 4 is 2. And then I'm going to have to do 2 squared. 2 times 2 is 4, so the answer would be 4 on this one. Okay, the next one is negative 1 plus 4. So you have to do that first before you can square. Remember, parentheses come before exponents. So negative 1 plus 4. Negative 1 plus 4. If I owe you $1 and I give you $4, I gave you 3 too much. And then 3 squared. 3 squared is 9. You can still type all this in. Just make sure you put the parentheses where they're supposed to be. So negative 1 plus 4, close parentheses, squared is 9. Okay, now let's do 0 plus 4 squared. 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 squared. 4 squared is 16. Okay, 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 squared is 25. 2 plus 4 is just getting bigger. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 squared is 36. So this one's going to be really hard to, not really hard to graph, but we're just going to have to use a different scale. And we're probably not going to see the vertex on this one. Oh, actually we're not. So when we do this one, we're going to have to go by something other than ones on our scale. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to go by fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So that's enough. I could have gone by fours. It really doesn't matter. So then I need to go negative 2. So 1, 2, and then up 4. Oops, that's not really 4. There's 4. Negative 1 up to 9. 0 up to 16. 1 up to 25. And 2 up to 36. So there is part of my parabola. Okay, I have one more. I know this is taking a while, but I have one more that I want to do just because that's what's going to be on your worksheet. So negative 4x squared. So x, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Process and y. So we have negative 4 times negative 2 squared. So when we do this, we have to square the number, then multiply by negative 4. So I'm going to go ahead and do it right here. So we have negative 4 and negative 2 times negative 2. A negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 2 is 4. So it would be negative 4 times 4. A negative 4 times a positive 4. Negative times a positive is a negative. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, then we have negative 4 times negative 1 squared. So I have to do this part first. Again, negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1, so it would be negative 4 times a positive 1. A negative 4 times a positive, a negative times a positive is a negative. 4 times 1 is 4. Okay. Negative 4 times 0 squared. 0 squared, or 0 times 0 is 0. Negative 4 times 0 would still be 0. Anything times 0 is always 0. Okay. Negative 4 times 1 squared. 1 times 1 is 1. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 2 squared. 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 4 times 4. Negative 4 times 4 would be negative 16 again. Okay, this one I'm going to, since they're all negatives except for the 1, 0, I'm going to put it this way. And then since it's getting to 16, I'm going to go by 2's. So negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, negative 10, negative 12, negative 14, negative 16. Okay, so negative 1, negative 2, negative 16, negative 1, negative 4, 0, 0, 1, negative 4, and 2, 16. So notice from the parent function, this one is, I guess you could call it flipped over. The vertex is still at 0, 0. It's just a maximum because it's a highest point instead of a lowest point, and it's just really skinny.